Carmax has issued a clear warning for the US economy. Right now, nobody has money, and well, that's abundantly clear when you look at the Carmax stock market as well as their number of sales throughout last quarter. Carmax just released their quarterly earnings, and well, it is not looking good whatsoever. And well, when you look at the price tags of so many of these vehicles as I show them to you today, it becomes abundantly clear as to why they're struggling bad. In today's video, I'll highlight a number of awful deals being advertised at my local Carmax, as well as really talk through the clear pain points that we are experiencing as an economy, but it's really being reflected most within the car market at large. So stick with me as we talk through it all. Stock price for a Carmax has fallen over 20% in just one day. Year to date, the stock is down about 50%. 50% over the last year. This last quarter, Carmax reported a huge loss in sales, which is why when you go to your local Carmax, what will you see? You're not going to see a ton of inventory because they have slowed the amount of buying that a lot of their establishments are doing. Normally speaking, they'd be issuing huge offers, better offers than most dealerships to try to buy your vehicle, to stock their inventory. But right now, they're distancing themselves from that reputation. They're getting away from these huge offers and really offering much less just compared to what they were about a year ago. You see, unlike your traditional dealership, Carmax has shareholders, right? So they have these shareholders that they need to appease. So they can't just make these very quick and drastic decisions to cut and slash prices accordingly to try to move their metal and move their inventory, but rather it's a slow-moving ship. They have to run it up and down the gauntlet to make sure that they have the necessary approvals to make these large decisions for the company at large. And that serves to their detriment. They're not an agile company. They can't move quick. And well, as we teeter deeper into 2025 and closer to 2026, that is going to serve to their detriment. Believe it or not, we have not seen Carmax's stock this low since the beginning of the pandemic, which is quite alarming in and of itself. We did see a little bit of an uptick in sales between April, May, June timeframe just because of the tariff talk. A lot of dealerships, to include Carmax, were advertising, hey, tariffs are coming. If you're going to buy a vehicle, you want to buy it now. Otherwise, it's going to affect the prices of used vehicles too, right? That's what a lot of them are claiming. They're trying to scare you. It's a whole fear-mongering tactic being deployed by dealerships and used dealerships like Carmax alike, saying, hey, if you're planning on buying a vehicle later this year anyway, might as well come in now. And that's what a lot of people did. A lot of people who were going to buy in maybe August, September, November, October, whatever, they were planning to buy later in the year anyway. They just made it a little bit more premature. So now, here as we teeter the last quarter of the year, sales are down tremendously, especially for new vehicle inventory. Carmax in particular, because they're generally priced a little bit higher than most dealerships when it comes to their used vehicle inventory, they're struggling bad because of it. Carmax has always succeeded because they typically prey upon people with subprime credit. If you have poor credit or challenge credit, they were typically able to get you approved. And that has always been their ace up their sleeve, if you will, right? They can get you approved, even if it is at your own detriment. And what I mean by that is their APR, their interest rates that they generally apply to their vehicles, if you have challenge credit, can be upwards of 20% or more. 20% or more interest on your vehicle purchase. Can you imagine going out and paying already too much for a vehicle? If you go look at the 4Runners on the lot of any CarMax, they're generally just wildly overpriced, right? They have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 miles on them, and they want dang near original MSRP for these vehicles, for these 4Runners, which is pretty sickening. So imagine paying $50,000 for a 4Runner that should be $40,000 and getting slapped with a 20% interest rate. Pretty sickening, huh? Really, Carmax preys upon the uneducated. I'll call it how it is, right? Carmax loves it when people come in and they're happy to see there's no haggle pricing. Because a lot of people, let's face it, they're afraid to negotiate. A lot of people would actually rather go to the dentist comparatively to buying and negotiating a new vehicle purchase or a used vehicle purchase, right? And because of that, well, they take advantage of you. Any smart individual knows that you need to negotiate. The asking price is generally not a good deal. And well, go look at Carmax's website, scroll through the vehicles, you'll quickly learn that so many of them are just easily 15 to 25% overpriced compared to the competition nationwide. But let's face it, the people who are buying from Carmax are the people who probably went to a dealership like Toyota, like Nissan, like Mazda, like Chevy, they went to a dealership and tried to buy the vehicle that they're wanting brand new, but they failed to do so. Their credit maybe didn't allow them to get a loan through GM, through General Motors, through Toyota, through Nissan, but rather they can get approved through an institution or a company like Carmax because a lot of their loans are handled and managed entirely in-house. And what I mean by that is, some of the smaller mom and pop used vehicle dealers will have their buy here, pay here, where they do their own in-house financing. It's kind of like that, but on a very large scale, Carmax is able to do that. So they can approve people who generally won't be approved by any other dealership or any other manufacturer. Brings me to today's video sponsor. That is Last Fit Lighting. Today I'm pretty excited. I'll be installing these LS Plus LED bulbs into our 2020 Chevy Suburban behind me, as well as some T3 blinkers for us. So I'm excited to showcase that to you guys. I've been very pleased with my Last Fit floor liners that I put into my Ford F-150 Raptor a few weeks ago. So today I'm excited to put these on, try them out, and compare them to the stock standard halogen bulbs that are in my Suburban. So stick with me. Guys, I just wrapped up putting in both the high beams as well as the front turn signals here in the Chevy Suburban, and it looks so much better. The LS Plus 9005 high beam bulbs that I put in are so much brighter. We're talking about 7 times brighter than your typical halogen bulb, with them having about 65 watts of power per bulb. So you can definitely tell as we have the high beams on. I'll put some side-by-side B-roll up here to show you what it looked like before with the halogen bulb and now with these awesome Last Fit bulbs in there. And when it comes to the turn signals here, the OEM ones that I had on it before were so dim. I mean, I would never even see them reflecting off of street signs at nighttime when we're driving around. And with this being my wife's primary vehicle while she's driving around our 5 kiddos, I personally have so much better peace of mind knowing that they're going to be seen. It's just a safer setup overall. So super happy with just how easy it was to install. Under 45 minutes for all of it, all put together, a plug and play situation. And not to mention, Last Fit does offer a 2-year hassle-free warranty. So if you bump into any quality issues with these, you can just reach out to Last Fit and they're going to take care of you and make sure that you get a replacement. So I appreciate the fact that they stand behind their product, and that's why I don't mind advertising for them on my channel here, because I personally believe in their product. Just like the Last Fit floor liners that I put in the Raptor, these Last Fit LED bulbs arrived in the mail within a matter of days. So very quick shipping, and the packaging of the product, second to none. I think you're going to be very pleased with the product overall. Not to mention customer service with Last Fit has always been exceptional in my experience, and everybody I know who's gone through them has been very pleased with it. So if you do end up buying something from them, please consider using my affiliate link in the video description below. It tells them that you're watching my videos and you appreciate this type of content. A lot of people who have historically invested within the automotive lending space are pulling out. So many top figures and top contributors within that lending space are leaving it. They're leaving it because they see the writing on the wall. They see what is ahead. They see what lies ahead throughout the rest of the year and into 2026 and toward 2027. They see that auto loans are just not promising whatsoever. Look at repo rates. Repo rates are growing at an alarming rate. Let me paint a picture for you. Between 2023 and 2024, we saw an unprecedented uptick in the number of vehicle repossessions of 23%. 23% uptick. We had about 1.5 million vehicles that were repoed within the United States back in 2023. Fast forward just 1 year, it was over 1.75 million. That was an unprecedented growth rate that we saw. Here in 2025, well, you guessed it, we're actually on track to surpass that and actually teetering closer to 2 million vehicles being repossessed. And the scarier part of all of it, they're not just being repossessed by banks. It is more often than not, people picking up the phone saying, hey, bank, I cannot afford this vehicle. I can't afford this Charger, or this Challenger, this Camaro that I just bought. Please come get it out of my driveway. It is people voluntarily picking up the phone and having their vehicles repossessed, even if it means completely destroying their credit. They're willing to do that if it means choosing keeping a vehicle or a roof over their head. In my personal opinion, Carmax's no haggle pricing is an antiquated business model, and they need to change that. They need to get away from it. Obviously, it's good for them. It's easy for them. Say, hey, here's the price. If you like it, take it or leave it, right? That's good for them. But for you and I, the consumer, it's taking advantage of us. It's raking us over the coals, and that's abundantly clear. And a lot of people they're catching on. They're realizing, especially the people with challenge credit, they're realizing, hey, I just can't go out and overspend for a vehicle. I need to go out and get that $5,000 or $10,000 beater vehicle just to get by. And a lot of people are doing that. They're just performing the necessary service and maintenance to their current vehicles as long as they can, keeping it on the road rather than going out and blowing their money and getting stuck with a huge interest rate. Don't take it from me. If you've gotten a quote, a purchase quote, a buy offer from Carmax before on your vehicle, maybe within the last year, take that same vehicle back to Carmax just for fun and see what they're willing to offer. I will bet you that is probably anywhere from 15 to 25% less than what you originally were offered by them. They used to be extremely competitive, so much so where a lot of dealerships couldn't even beat them on buy offers and trade-in values. So a lot of people were taking their vehicles to Carmax, but not anymore. They are truly getting away from that reputation that they've developed. They're getting away from it and they're offering much, much less, unfortunately. Now, one scary bit from CarMax's recent reporting is we did see a tremendous uptick in the number of auto loan delinquencies. That's people who got their loan through CarMax for their vehicle that they purchased from CarMax, they're failing to make the payments. The scary bit is we're not seeing an equal uptick in the number of vehicle repossessions. So a huge uptick in delinquencies, but not that large of an uptick. It's pretty well stagnant, the number of repossessions. So that doesn't add up. They're not getting paid for their vehicles, but they're not repossessing them either. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, many companies, unfortunately, will try to paint themselves to be in a better position than what they truly are. And that might just be a prime example of it. They're not highlighting the number of repossessions because that would give a black eye to the company and saying that they're issuing a tremendous amount of loans out to people who they should not be giving loans out to, much like what we saw during the 08-09 recession. A lot of people were receiving substantial loans for their houses when they really should not have been given that, right? People who are making money, who are producing macaroni art for a living, they were getting $1 million loans during that time for their house. So we're seeing that right now from CarMax. They're very cautious and careful with how they report it though, because they don't want to disrupt their stock price any further and they don't want to upset their shareholders. Let's face it and let's call it how it is. So let me know what you're seeing at your local CarMax. Is there inventory overflowing? Or does it look more like the CarMax in my local area where there's a whole lot of vacant, empty spaces on the lot? Let me know what you're seeing. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune into these videos. If you appreciate this type of content whatsoever, I do respectfully request that you please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a ton, and I promise you it doesn't go unnoticed. Till next time.